So what to you makes a good voice performance then? And is it something that has to be in English, or does it? Can you recognize it in like Japanese as well?
Yeah, Japanese too. But I think that's just from watching a lot of Japanese media.
Yeah,
like it's something that you can, because the way you deliver a line in anything, right? The way a line, there's when you deliver a singular line, there's like a visualization to it of if you imagine the pacing and the pitch, like in my head, with a good line, there's a set way it should be delivered, right? And it's the way the director wants it to. And I imagine like someone like Quentin Tarantino has the same idea, where it's like the line is delivered the way I see it.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, I just visualize in my head the way it should go, like if you should raise your voice, how you should raise your pitch, and then when you should take it down, when you should slow it down, when you should add a pause. And it's really interesting seeing how like some of the actors will deliver a certain line and where they'll choose to take pauses or how they'll choose to slow words down. I think that's really interesting. And
I'm the same. Like, you know, I haven't done as much voice acting as you, but I definitely take a keen eye to voice acting as well, because I also want to get better at it.
Yeah.
And I totally get what you mean with the whole curve thing.
There's the way I wish I figured out a way where I could definitively show people what I mean in my head about that, because if you put the line on like an axis of Y and like X, you know, it would go like that, right?
Yeah.
And it would be like, you need to pause here. You need to take a break here, slow down this word. This word's in italics, so please put emphasis on it, but not too much emphasis, because it would be bold.
Yeah.
You know? It's like really loads of nuances that we don't see as the audience, that I'm trying to, in my head, when I'm listening to something, I'm imagining how they saw the script. Yeah. And I'm trying to think back to what they were thinking. So like, depending on what medium we're in now, like, and also, ever since I got way too into voice acting, I see so much ADR, and it puts me the fuck off in films. When you can hear one line that's delivered in the room, and one line where they did it in post, and it's so grating when you hear, because like so many sitcoms do this, where they like have the line done in post. You don't realize how many movies are done in post as well. Normally they're done so well that, you know.
I've definitely noticed it recently when I've
it's
like
so grating.
Like when you notice it once, you can't stop noticing it. I noticed,
and that's the problem I have with watching shows that are dubbed in languages like you know, Italian or whatever, or Dutch. Normally they have to dub so many shows where they're just pumping this out, and there's not really much given to the sound of it, and it sounds like everyone's in a studio. Every single TV show they're in, no matter where they go, when I hear this Italian or this Dutch guy speak, it always sounds like they're in a studio. When they're outside, it's like, what the fuck? I hate that so much. And that's the reason why when people are like, oh, I had a German friend who watched Game of Thrones in Dutch, or a German, dubbed. And I was like, why? It sounds like everyone's in a studio. They're on a battlefield.
No, it's exactly the same as Thai dubs when I was talking about shitty Thai dubs, and they just don't know audio mixing. So instead of like making it sound like they're in the environment they're in, it's always in the same studio, and instead of like mixing in the voices, they just like quiet every other voice and every other sound. So the voices are just like 10 times louder than every sound effect every time someone talks, and then the sound effects get louder again.
Oh my God.
It's like the worst kind of audio mixing.
That's lazy as fuck.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, now, I'm not sure if they did it back then, but now commonly the Japanese studios will just give basically a track with just the voices taken out. And they're like, here's everything. We've done it all for you. Just add the voices. Normally quite easy. But yeah, in terms of dubbing or voice performances in anime cartoons, that's a whole different. Like,
I feel like the one unsung hero in terms of like voice acting and dubbing is the voice director, because I feel like obviously, you know, actors get a lot of the credits, but I feel
they also get all the shit.
They also get all the shit as well, and I feel like a voice director has so much control over how good this voice performance is going to be. Because I've definitely worked with voice actors and actresses in my own abridged series where they've done a great fucking job. And then I see them voice in like other projects and
it's terrible.
It's bad. It hurts me because I know the potential that these voice actors have. And I know that it's probably just bad voice direction, you know, and a lot of people don't think about that or don't know that because they just think, oh, it's a shitty voice actor, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a real shame.
It's difficult because unless you've been in an environment where you've worked with a director or had someone directing you in any way, it's really hard to understand the role of a director. Because I didn't quite get it until I had worked in that space, and it's kind of the person who like Because when you're doing it for yourself and you're acting, you're in your own head. You're your worst enemy. Because you're like, fuck, I should have done it this way. Because when I record for one of my own videos, 20 takes. I record for someone else with a director, 1 or 2 takes. Because they tell me what they want and they help me get there. And a lot of people, like there's 10% of voice actors who can deliver lines amazingly without a director. But then there's like 50% who need a director. And there's like 30, 40% who, let's be honest, they're never going to get anywhere with it. Like there's no saving them. It's sad to say that, but it's one of those things where you do need like a good ear somewhat.
It's a skill, absolutely.
It's definitely a skill because I personally think I'm a much better voice director than I am a voice actor. Even though I've done both, I try to like insert my own voice as little as possible whenever I'm doing kind of any kind of voice work that I've done before. But I really enjoy directing because it's definitely a unique skill because I've seen how other people direct their work as well, and it's everyone has a different style. Some are just not effective at all. Some voice directors, they have no idea what they want. And it's just on the voice actor to save the performance somehow, even though the director has no idea what they want. Do you ever get that moment though when you're directing someone and they've not delivered the line exactly the way you want it, and so you have to explain it to them, and you get to the third point. It's the third time. The third time you've tried, and they still haven't done it the way you want it to. Do you continue? Like, do you continue trying to explain it to them, or do you just go with one of the takes?
Normally, I would try my best to explain it to them. Worst case scenario, I'll do a line read, which a line read is, you don't normally do it. It's not unprofessional, but it wastes a lot of time, which is where the director will deliver the line and he'll be like, just copy what I just did. And that's what I'll do on the worst case scenario. And if they can't do that, then it's like, fuck. Like, this is going to be bad. Like if they can't hear what I just did, and then they can't replicate it, that means that they have no idea what I just did. In my head, I'm like, okay, they don't even see what I did. They don't know what they're doing.
It's the worst feeling in the world, isn't it?
It's pretty awful.